Շնորհակալ եմ, որ Հայաստան եկաք մեր հրավերով եւ անհամբեր սպասելու ենք ձեր փոքրինչ հետո keynote ելույթին։ Պետք է ասեմ, որ Քրիսի գրեթե բոլոր գրքերը, բացի մեկից, պետք է ասեմ, կարդացել եմ եւ նշումներ արել ու վստահ եղեք, որ ֆորումի ամբողջ ձևաչափը ձևավորվել է եւ կառուցվածքը ձևավորվել է հենց այդ կոնտենտի ներքո։
Նատվային տրանսֆորմացիա եւ ֆինթեքի կնքահայրերից է։ Նրա Digital Bank, Value Web, Digital Human հեղինակած գրքերը դարձել են best-seller մասնագետների շրջանում։ Խնդրում եմ շատ ջերմ դիմավորել այստեղ այս բեմում Chris Skinnerin։
Adapting to change is easy. You can make any change you want. But if anyone in this room is working for an organization that has a chief digital officer, you'll fail. And the reason is you can't delegate digital transformation. You can't delegate the process of what to change and how to change to a person that has a team and a budget. The whole of the organization needs to be involved. I actually say digital transformation because it's got nothing to do with technology. It's all to do with what's up here and what's in there. It has to be in the DNA and the blood of the people of the organization, and the executive leadership team have to make that change.
Mr. Skinner, during your speech at the Doing Digital Forum, you said digital transformation has nothing to do with technology. It's all about what's in your head and heart. So what did you mean by that?
Well, I think digital transformation has to start with whether you actually understand it and is it in your blood, in your DNA, so to speak. And there's an awful lot of organizations that haven't embraced technology, in that the management, for example, thinks that doing a mobile app is digital. And actually, a mobile app is not digital at all. It's part of a digital ecosystem that's being created with lots of different companies doing different things with apps and with cloud computing and with artificial intelligence and more. And so I often challenge an executive in a financial institution whether they can tell me the difference between, for example, machine learning and artificial intelligence, or the difference between blockchain technology and distributed ledger technology. And you may say, that's getting a bit technical, Chris, but I know an executive team, if they can answer that question, has DNA that is digital, because they've researched and they've been curious and they've wanted to find out. And too often, people don't start with that idea of get it into the minds and the hearts, not just of themselves, but then of their organization, because they think they can delegate it to one digital person who's working for maybe the chief financial officer. The latter just doesn't work. You're never going to transform if you delegate it. The world actually doesn't really have borders. And a challenge we have with digital is digital doesn't recognize countries. It doesn't recognize borders. And as a result, we have to think very differently about how we regulate such a world that doesn't recognize borders. Imagine if your headquarters is based on Mars and your infrastructure and ecosystem you're dealing with is on the moon and your customers and staff are on Earth. What business model do you create for that? This is what digital transformation is all about. It's saying we're going to change the world with artificial intelligence, but it needs a human touch, not just artificial intelligence.
Was there any specific message that you wanted to deliver with your speech?
I think the main one is that the world is changing very quickly. You've got to keep up. And an awful lot of traditional institutions, particularly in finance, but actually in retail and manufacturing and elsewhere, have struggled to keep up. And the reason is that they keep adding technology and thinking that that's doing digital. Whereas actually it's doing digital is transforming the business. So I talk much more about the transformational process, which is much harder to do than just adding a mobile app.
Personally for you, what was the most interesting and exciting thing about this Doing Digital Forum?
coming to Armenia.
And basically delighted to be here in Yerevan and with such an amazing audience. We packed, which is a testament to the organisation that Spring have delivered to this conference, but equally I'm delighted to follow such esteemed guests from Ameriabank, from the Deputy Prime Minister and the Governor. So I'm humbled because I haven't been to Armenia before, but I've read a lot and I know quite a lot of the background about the country.
Particularly the cognac, which I would definitely will try and have a try, and the old churches here. But in the conference itself, I guess it's that message of can Armenia become a technology financial community that grows. There's about 30 fintech startups here in Yerevan and a lot of innovation here that's building. And I think a lot of the banks here are very keen to innovate as well. And there's discussions around could this become something that's not just in Armenia, but can be broadened and widened into regional and maybe even global services. So we shall see, but I think there's a huge enthusiasm for doing digital here.
How can a small country like Armenia succeed in this digital transformation race?
Well, I think the biggest thing is there may be a willingness to support fintech startups, and the banks may be willing to talk about digital and digital transformation, but you need to hear it from the central bank and from the Armenian government and the Prime Minister. And if everybody, particularly the government and central bank, start backing digital transformation in Armenia, then you get new conditions, which is low taxes, easy investment, easy support, access to all the channels you need to innovate. And so that to me, because we had Deputy Prime Minister here at the conference, along with the Governor of the Central Bank, shows that there's definitely a willingness here to do this.
So this process should start from the government. And is there anything that private companies can do?
Of course there are. You can actually create a lot of innovation if you have access to investors, venture capital, private equity. But if you have a low tax environment and government investment in innovation, it's a lot easier.
I don't believe things should work the way they work. I think you can change the world if you question things, which is the reason why if you find me on LinkedIn, you'll see me described as a troublemaker, because I'm always asking questions that people don't want to ask. I think about my children's future. What's going to happen to their future? And how can we use technology and finance to make the world a better place? What price do you put on the extinction of humanity? If we're just here to make money, that is not a good thing to be here for, is it? We should be here to create happy families and happy lives. Thank you.